Hi friends, welcome back to my Cozy Crafty Cabin. So it is day 21 of my Christmas in July crafty series, and today we're going to be doing something pretty different, and we're going to just be organizing my Christmas scrap bin that I have. So if you've seen some of my videos this month, you may have seen this bin that holds all of my Christmas scraps. So it is very disorganized, it's chaotic. There's really no organization to it. It's just filled with, from all kinds of different paper pads and collections and many different sizes. And it's just like a mixed match of my Christmas scraps. And I used to just have one bin that was just all scraps, like from any kind of season. And then eventually I made one dedicated for Christmas. So actually, as I go through this, I find some especially towards like when we get to the bottom, some like non-Christmas scraps. So it was good to kind of go through everything, get things out of there that weren't Christmas. I also had a bunch of cardstock scraps, which was nice because I like using those for stamping sentiments. But yeah, so this is just going to be a chill, laid back video where you see my process of just going through. First, I'm kind of sorting in general by size, and then I once I get through everything, I then kind of organize it more by size and in each kind of because I end up having some scraps like several of the same size, right? So that kind of gets its own little plastic sleeve that I'm going to keep them in. And then others are going to be just different, a variety of sizes, right? But, it's going to be like longer or shorter, that kind of a thing. But yeah, you'll kind of just see me go through and organize and then get everything more organized and put away. So yeah, I hope you find this video motivating. If you have, scraps kind of like mine here, where it's just kind of chaotic and disorganized. I was really happy with the end result, because it was kind of getting, you probably can't even tell, like I feel like I actually made a decent dent in my Christmas scraps with doing different projects this month, but you can't even really tell. One, I just have way too many. And then it's just kind of, it still just looks a mess, right? So, but anyways, it was getting a little overwhelming at times, like trying to just dig through and find pieces, of certain sizes or, that were going to work. So I am happy now to have these all organized, and I end up organizing it by size. I'm not organizing it by like color or pattern or collection. It's just by size. So when I need, like an A2 size mat, I have those set aside. If I need, like a skinnier strip, I have like the skinny strip set aside. If I need, larger pieces, I have those set aside. So yeah, I was really happy with the end result. And it actually has motivated me. I have a separate scrap bin that's just basically like non-holiday, non-seasonal paper. So really, like, I do most of my crafting, it's like Christmas themed or fall Halloween themed, and then it's kind of like everything else is how I organize. So like I craft mostly with Christmas, fall, Halloween. So those have like their own kind of bins. But then everything else outside of that, whether it's like summer or spring or just, maybe it's birthday or whatever, those scraps have its own bin. So that is very, very full, and it's very disorganized too. So I think actually I want to do the same thing with those scraps, because yeah, I was just really happy with having this cleaned up and organized better. Just feels a lot less overwhelming to just kind of go through and be like, okay, what kind of size paper do I need for this project? And let me go through and see if there's any colors or patterns, that are going to work. So yeah, I hope you find this video motivating, take anything, that might work for you and leave the rest. Now listen, this is not like pretty. Like, I didn't go out and buy any fancy or new, you know, pretty like organizational things. Like, it's all going back in this bin, and I'm just reusing like plastic sleeves and like packaging from cards or stickers or whatnot, you know, that I don't know if, does anyone else keep like all the plastic packaging from things like that? I do. Because then I'll actually like package, like when I used to do craft fairs, I would like reuse that for packaging my items. So anyways, I hold on to all of like the plastic packaging. You'll see whenever I show the end result. So yeah, that's what I stuck all of the different size scraps in, and then it just went right back in this bin. So yeah, it's not like this isn't like a very aesthetic pleasing video, but it's very functional for me. And that's what we're going for. We're like using what we have. You know, we're not spending any money doing this, and I just wanted it to be functional. So yeah, yeah, I hope you get maybe some tips or ideas, or even just a little bit of motivation if you have any kind of organizing in your, you know, craft space that you've been needing or meaning to do. But yeah, I hope you enjoy, and I will pop back in a little bit. Okay, so I've gone through every single scrap from my bin, right? And now I kind of have them in their initial piles. So most of these are still like variety of sizes, right? But it's kind of a general, you know, if they were larger, medium, smaller kind of scraps, that kind of thing. So they're kind of, you know, in their piles right now. I have several, and then I'm going to go through each pile individually, because then I'll end up finding some scraps that I'm going to like group together. Like here, for instance, here's some 6x6 scraps. So I'm going to keep those all together because one, I have a lot in that size, and then I use 6x6 for things, right? So like 6x6 is a size where I'll make envelopes with, you know, and then I'll come across, I have several like A2 size mats that were 4 by 5 1/4. So like those I'm going to group together, that kind of thing. I think I have a bunch of like 4x6 size mats. So I'm just kind of grouping together any scraps that are the same size because they're going to go in their own little plastic sleeve. And then I'm going to end up with like, you know, a mix match of, you know, maybe they're thinner, longer strips, but you know, they're not all the same length, but they're on the longer side versus shorter side kind of a thing. And I'll just group those together. Okay, guys, so here is my, end result. I did have this one random, this was from like a Dollar Tree picture that like from years ago, and I guess I must have used the frame or tossed it or something, but I kept the image, and I thought, maybe I would use that for a card or something. So I have some cut-aparts, sentiments. I have some like really mini cut-aparts. I have some like 3x4.5 scraps, some 4x5.25 scraps, some 1x3 scraps. I used those for nuggets back in the day, Hershey nuggets. I have some 3.25x6 scraps. I have some 4x6 scraps, some 6x6 scraps, and some 4x8 scraps. So on the left side is where I've grouped together ones that are all of like the same size, right? And they're each in their own plastic kind of wrapping. And then on the right side, these are just kind of a variety of sizes, but generally kind of grouped together, right? By like smaller to bigger or longer kind of a thing. So yeah, doesn't this just seem, though, I'm like really happy with, like, I'm glad I took the time to do this. And I think it only took me about an hour altogether. And I feel like it just looks so much more manageable. So I'm really happy I took the time to go through and organize it. And I think when I go now to pull from my scraps, and then it's going to be easy, right, to still, as I'm working on projects and I working on projects and end up with scraps, I feel like it's still will feel manageable to organize them in the system. You know what I mean? I'm just tucking them in where they go. And also, so everything is in there except I have this one little envelope of like these itty bitty scraps. So would you guys use these? And if so, what would you make with them, or would you toss them? You let me know, okay? So I just had, a little bit of these itty bitties. Let me know what you would do. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.